Big bet. Welcome to segment 5 of episode 4, where we're about to just jump right back in here since we cut out in the last segment. This is part 3 now. Oh, we didn't cut out actually. Lit. Welcome to segment 5. Part 5 of episode 4. In general, we're about to jump right back in to now this third section, the key of wisdom. So the last segment in episode 4, we just went through and learned much more about what they're saying. The story of me becoming me is only going to be a framing of their perception of my creation, though. So this is why it's so important to not actually get attached to thinking you are light or you are something you can see, because spirits who have endless time and endless energy for themselves will do whatever they can to then change what you can see and make you think that you're something else, a part of them, even if you actually believe that you are this thing. So if I somehow was trying to cling on to the light of Thoth instead of being the spirit who naturally created it as part of who they naturally are in the universe, then I would sit here making this really feel right and being like, oh yeah, absolutely, and then I did this and that resonated, and I did it over here, and it's no, almost none of this is really going to be true. Someone who wants to be me will read this stuff and cling to this light, but it just really shows their desire to be something that they're not. Because most of this stuff, although I've been saying it's weaponized truth, it's so weaponized it's not true. There's really almost no real substance in here, in my opinion, just because of how the whole point of them pushing a lie is to use substance to do that. So they have this frequency, this vision, and they're literally just using whatever they can to make that happen. So it's not really the truth. It's just they have to then use the truth to trap people in a lie. So this is why things will resonate, but just enough to trap your mind. Part 3. The key of wisdom. I, Thoth the Atlantean, give of my wisdom, give of my knowledge, give of my power. Freely I give to the children of men, that they too might have wisdom to shine through the world from the veil of the night. Wisdom is power, and power is wisdom, one with each other, perfecting the whole. Be you not proud, O man, in your wisdom. Discourse with the ignorant as well as the wise. Big facts. So that's something that I would have told Jesus. And then everyone now worships Jesus because he has something called empathy. And it's okay. And here's what we're talking about. This is the whole thing with clinging to light. The moment you have an idea about what something is, you are blocking yourself off from infinity. It's honestly that simple. So when an English person is feeling like they're superior over black people because of their color, the color of their skin, they're naturally blocking themselves off from a lot of wisdom associated with those indigenous cultures. And then that's where we see that white European people, they do like to separate themselves to make them feel superior to everyone else just based on the color of their skin, because they're saying that metaphysically, the color of their skin shows that they're pure, so they have no impurities, so they don't have a lot of desires. So that's what Europeans would say to make Christians support the consistent rape, murder, and genocide of indigenous peoples, and support the lie of saying that indigenous peoples are black and making them think they're from a totally different continent and everything. Because it comes down to, religiously, they are operating from the perspective that white is right and black is whack. Black darkness being immorality, being all this desire. Whereas they're trying to say that white is desireless, even though their white desires to enslave, rape, and murder the world around it so much that it's using the lie that God wants it to do that in order to do that. That's how the Crusades work. That's how Christianity works. This is just Catholicism, basic conversion stuff. So it's all about clinging to light. That's what that relies on. Like the only way that Europeans can consistently justify the genocide of indigenous peoples is because they are underneath the logic that they can do whatever sins they want because Jesus died for their sins. So because they were told by this other system that they're not God and that they're not in control of their lives, they need to give their feeling, their emotion to something else that is God. Because they don't feel like God, it shows that they are God, but they are like the entity in the Bible who's fighting itself. So anyone who's fighting themselves internally, they have a lot of negative emotions towards themselves, shame, guilt, resentment, anger. They're going to start to externalize that out to the world. And first, it takes them feeling comfortable enough with it inside of themselves to point it out. So that's the point of Christianity. It makes people who are fighting inside of themselves feel comfortable enough with this Jesus light to then project that hell onto the entire environment. Because now they feel like this light is keeping them afloat from all the emotions, right? Jesus is walking on water. They're underneath the water drowning. They feel like they can only stand above the water when Jesus grabs their hand. And they're just like, basically not even Jesus grabs their hand. They're grabbing Jesus and climbing up him and holding on to him. Because they know him. He doesn't know them. They're told that he knows everyone. Because they're told that. And then it's literally up to them to like not really, again, to not have empathy, to be disconnected from the spirit, to not really know how metaphysically spirits work. So this is the whole issue with clinging to light and thinking that you're smarter than someone. Your idea of being smarter than someone is only based on your ego up to that point. Like, you thinking that you are more intelligent than someone is literally just your fiery projection of what intelligence is meant to you up to that point. So this is the whole thing with, discoursing with the ignorant as well as the wise. It's just about getting the true balance in of all of your communication. We're talking about being truly air. Because the moment you actually block yourself into an idea, you're not being intelligent. You need to, like, you're being in an echo chamber. You're being like one of these light white supremacist scientists who has a very fragile ego pushing certain lies. And the moment anyone challenges them, they dance in their fire, flip out, burn up the environment because they are the smartest one. And they need to stay the smartest one. And to do that, they need to stay in ignorance. So lots of spirits, to stay smart in their field, will purposefully stay ignorant and then keep the people around them ignorant so that they can feel like the highest star in that area. Pretty whack. Clearly, I'm not about that. We gotta give my power and give my knowledge freely to the children of men. The problem is, I've learned people can't value free. People, like, I'm doing these videos for free. I still do stuff for free. It's just I learned like spirits don't value free things. Anything that's free, people find it to just be something you can consume, and they get demonic about it endlessly. So this is like the thing with money or just currency, because money is more the colonial version of currency. The thing with currency is that spirits who truly don't really value themselves don't know how to value themselves. So if you're a spirit that doesn't know how to value yourself, and thus you don't know how to value yourself, then simulations have systems in place to teach you how to value yourself. Currency is one of those main systems. That is the three, hearkening to the two. So the two being your feelings about the environment, three being you communicating, or two being your feelings in general, feelings about your imagination and the imaginations around you in how your feelings connect. Your feelings connect your imagination to others' imaginations. And then you can communicate in there. Um, Whoa, how did I totally lose my track of thought? I'm going to hit this and hopefully remember. Right, giving knowledge freely, but people can't value free. So currency is a system that spirits, a lot of them need, because they can't project their own feelings inward to build their own thought. So they need to agree with everyone else on this thought, and that this thought has more value than their own feelings. So once multiple spirits are agreeing that this one thought has a higher vibration than they're feeling, aka they're a slave to this thought, and they're trying to get freedom through this, that's where a spirit who's already free learns how to become more free by purposefully limiting themselves and projecting their feelings into something in the environment, like money. Because now, over time, that spirit who values money and doesn't value themselves will learn how to value themselves through money. And then that's where you get people who like actually care about themselves will spend money on their advancement, right? Like people who spend money on eating food and drinking alcohol versus people who spend money on reading books and self-help seminars in the gym, and just things that are actually productive versus consumptive. Because that's the mindset we're coming down to, and it's always really going to be the spirits who create versus the spirits who consume. And clearly, as we see with this whole Tablet Talk series, there are spirits who desire to consume my and other spirits' creations, your creations. There are spirits who desire to consume your creations so much that they will do everything in their power to make you believe that you are actually created by them. So that the moment you put your emotion into that thought, they feel like they have more ownership over everything that your spirit has created from its own individual space. This is the spiritual colonialism, okay? Because everything is ideology, and it's about stealing ideas and making people believe that you didn't even steal them, that you're the one who originated it. That's what white supremacists, all this AI metallic industrial revolution movement is on. It's pretty wild colonialism. And so, yeah, that's where the only way that all of this genocide and stuff continuously happens is that people feel like there are people in the world who like are these words of ignorant and wise, and then they create their own bubbles so that they don't actually have full communication with reality, and they're not actually staying balanced as an individual because they have some kind of ego fire that they want to focus on, and they feel like if their fire were to interact with any air that was too strong, because fire needs air to burn elementally. When we're talking about physically, fire needs air to burn, but then we can see that too much air will blow a fire out. So that is a lesson metaphysically where fire is burning on its own and air lets it burn more. We see like fire needs oxygen to continue doing its thing. So you can't smother a fire and then it'll go out. You can also blow it out. So that's where egos who are scared of being blown out will specifically create structures so that they do not interact with those strong gusts of air of whatever opposing thoughts or whatever stuff that they just don't want to address. So this is the whole importance that the tablets are getting into of speaking to the ignorant as well as the wise, and really what Jesus in the Bible was getting at and why people would like that part of him. Because spiritually, the point is that we're all connected. And when you really know that life is always a reflection of you, there's no labels. There's no labels at all for people in that way. It's all just spirit. It's all just spirit, and then from there resonance, and then from there details. All right. So spirit is the fact that anything's possible at this point. So anything that you see, just chalk it up to spirit. It's possible because of space. It's possible because of some individual space uniting its individual thoughts and individual feelings together. So now you can see it because it felt like communicating these things in this shared space. That's just going to give you, I'm saying, like all the freedom, because from there you will always be able to check in with the feeling, and the spirit will be able to move through anything in the environment to communicate the feeling that you need to have to you in order for you to stay on the right vibe to attract your tribe and build your hive or whatever. Because that's really what it's coming down to. Like when I think about like what are like most humans' desires, most people want to start a family. Most people want to have a great life, and this is how you do it. Like what you had to stay on a high vibration, and the highest vibration is your spirit. So if you block yourself out to things in the environment, you're only operating from an ego point, and you are blocking yourself off from your spirit, basically. I could keep, like that's hey, we're gonna keep going. If one comes to you full of knowledge, listen and heed, for wisdom is all. So right there, that's a big thing. Knowledge, no ledge, all knowledge is made up. Wisdom is knowing that all knowledge is made up. So this is why like everyone has so much knowledge. Everyone has so many light experiences that they can share. Endless light experiences. Do they have wisdom though? Because if they're repeating these experiences, if you're dealing with people who like don't like something, but they keep going through it in their life and they are externalizing the issues and they're like, oh man, everyone else is a problem, basically. That's where you get those people. Those are the people without wisdom, right? Like those are the people who are living on no ledge, on knowledge. Like they are constantly going through all this made up stuff. Their whole life is made up. Everything's made up. Everyone's making everything up together. So all of life is made up. And thus everyone is making up reality externally from their internal realm. And that's where if you don't have your internal realm made up, then you're definitely not going to have your external realm made up. And that's wisdom. Knowing that the external is created from the internal, which is created from the spirit. And then, you know, there's like some details in that, but the simpler, the better. And that's really the point. The details is in the knowledge. So someone can have 50 years of life experience just like telling you all about like all the traumas and issues that they've been through. And I'm sure you've been in this position with wisdom, will listen to this person and see what their issue is. That's what wisdom is. When we're talking about like having the ibis head is Thoth, like just being a bird in general. I vibe with them. Birds are communication. Birds are the air. Birds are wisdom, straight up. And when you have true wisdom, you can be a bird like an eagle, which is like an ego, because it's really the ultimate spiritual ego. Because the spirit, before it makes a body, can see everything, quote unquote. Even though the thing is, it also can't. It really is just being it. Because it can't see anything for real until it projects a light out that is in resonance with whatever light that it wants to observe, so that then the light in that reality can actually bounce off of it and it can interact there. So that's where it actually is important, essential for a spirit to make some sort of body. And there's so many frequencies, vibrations of bodies that one can make to navigate infinite reality. We're clearly in a dense one that we like to call a third dimension. The main point that I am making is that spirit, nothingness is everything. because everything comes out of nothing. And that is true infinity. And all knowledge is the light details that are made up from the infinite darkness that is the true expression of spirit. And we are all connected by our infinite darkness. We all have feelings. So that's where when you're listening to someone tell their story about like all the life that they've lived and all the experiences and the issues and all the trials and tribulations that they've gone through and all these waters just getting like washed up and whatever, you can sit back and be your ego because you're now fulfilling your desire as a spirit who has a body. That's what it's like to be a 9-dimensional entity. It's like being a spirit and having a body at the same time. That is the whole vibe. So then from there you get to be like, okay, well, I want a bigger space for my body, and that's 9 going into 10. And that's you creating your own heaven instead of going to someone else's heaven. When you are in that ego mode, in that bird mode, you are getting to then see over all this person's stories, right? Because they can't see it because they're in the storm. You're flying high like, well, if you didn't keep doing these moves, then you wouldn't be in this situation. And that's the benefit of birds, being able to see how all the environments connect in ways that none of the other animals can. It's so annoying, like when I'm talking, like I swear, like I'm not picking my nose. It's comedy. It's like my mustache hairs are literally so long that they keep tickling my nostrils when I speak. And I keep trying to brush them down. And it's just like, yeah, I need like a straight up brush. I gotta grab a brush. All right, hey. Lessons with human bodies here. Yeah, because it's like I'll talk and then they'll just like rustle and then be up in my nostril. And then I'm like, bro, I'm really about to look like I'm picking my nose. This is comedy because it's like the 10th time within 2 minutes. If you are just listening to this, though, then welcome to the vibe. Human bodies be weird, bro. Anybody be weird, though. Because that's the point. Like, no body is really going to be a perfect expression of you unless you're making it alone from your like own pure imagination. Or else you're actually just working with other spirits. And then that's where everyone sort of has to. I'm getting hella notification. Oh my, all these texts, people, please. Everyone is oh, see, now I forgot. That's wild. It's text, bro. They're not agents. These people are very awesome. That's just literally on me for not having do not disturb on. Okay. Do not keep silent when evil is spoken as truth. Be the sunlight that shines above all. Okay, so big fact. I mean, I like this right now. Clearly, I can springboard off of this and go deeper into it, and that is the point. Love this. Because when then, just to continue with the analogy of someone sharing with you all of their problems that they've been going through for like 30 to 50 years even, and you being able to sit back and see all of it, it's then important for you to speak that, I believe. Now, I have gotten in quite negative situations for speaking truths that I perceived based on a lot of evidence, because I don't just say things. I sit on things over time for a long time, and I'm like pretty sharp with the observing. It was just my lessons in those times that really what you perceive as a truth that needs to be said is honestly, truly ever going to be a projection. And this is why it's like I'm also learning spirits do need to pay for things to actually value it. Because a lot of the time when people are sharing their problems with you, even though they need to hear something, they don't want to. And not only do they not want to, but it's actually going to be detrimental to you if you speak the truth here. You're actually going to attach that energy onto you, because if you have the higher wisdom about speaking that truth, to see that these people are stuck in this sort of emotion, in this sort of water. And although they want help, they only want help when you're there. That means that they're clinging to you. And when they're clinging to you, instead of getting help or working on their own, and then you working together to help them, that's how you get pulled into the water. And that's how you drown with them. So this is why getting paid for your services is important. Because honestly, if you are just giving things out for free, spirits are at this place, the state place, the place state, where emotionally, anything that they see for free, they're clinging on to. And whatever that free is associated with is getting way more pulled down into emotion than they're getting pulled up. So that's where then spirits who project their emotion into money, which is that higher idea, like I'm talking about, that's what they use to communicate their value to themselves. And so now the spirit who has felt like money matters more than their own feelings then puts money into caring about your feelings about its life, or caring about whatever services you have to offer, instead of you just giving them away for free because you feel so indigenous, or it's like so properly like open and emotionally like in tune with God. We're talking about being real here, and numbers are the rulers of reality. And it's funny I'm saying that because it is talking about like the 9 lords and like those being numbers, and it's like they're not lords, but they do rule reality, and there's a difference, okay? Because rule and lord is something towering over, all right? Anything that claims to be a lord, you're the lord over that, because that thing needs you to believe in it. So literally you could just believe in yourself instead of believing in that thing, and now you're your own lord. And then you can just be like, who taught me this word anyway? And hey, look at you, you're on the way out of Plato's cave. Or you could actually go with ruler, which is what numbers are. Numbers are rulers. Numbers rule out reality, and thus they rule over reality because everything is measured and everything is numerical, because everything is an individual zero, turning nothing into something based on how it feels about itself. This is truly how we create life. So that's why like this is like I could keep going, but I will leave that there. He who oversteps the law shall be punished, for only through law comes the freedom of men. So now, I mean, we can't make it work. So, okay, law. He who oversteps the law shall be punished, for only through law comes the freedom of men. Do not cause fear, for fear is a bondage, a fetter that binds the darkness to men. So when we talk about men, we're just going to talk about spirits who think that they're light. And, or, spirits who are aspiring to be that higher light, like I was talking about. Which, that's the whole thing with money. Again, always that higher light. So spirits believe that money is better than them. They had to put their feeling into that, so now they can aspire to get this money, which they had to be taught what that is. It's the same thing with whatever a man is. It's the same thing with any idea. They had to be taught that any idea was a higher vibration than them, so that they could feel that way, and then start giving up their freedom to attain that idea. When this is saying, he who oversteps the law shall be punished, for only through law comes the freedom of men. It's not about like an actual government law. It's not about having people put rules on you. It's about knowing that life is naturally ruled. So other people don't need to be putting numbers on you. It's just that life is naturally numerical. And that is how freedom, like when you respect that, when you respect how life is naturally numerical and you want to learn, you care about learning about the magical math behind what makes reality function, in any experiential way, then that's where you actually support the freedom of all other spirits who are expressing themselves. Because this is just what we're naturally doing, to come together as collectives in any kind of quantity. Like, we're all individuals. Like, literally, there's only 0 and 1, right? Like, binary code is interesting, right? There's only 0 and 1 in the spiritual space. Like, we need to create the astral realm and the mental realm and other systems. I mean, we can create anything. So we're not limited to anything. It's just literally all about consent and agreements and the collective. And everything you can see is anything that you just agreed to communicate with. And that's why, like, then all the spirits that you can see, their imaginations and feelings are astral realm linked to yours. Definitely, if you're in the same physical world, because you're both creating that physical world from the astral realm. And then all the astral realm is like connected in different frequencies, because it's all vibrations and stuff. It's like when we see out here in nature, where it's like so many different tiers of water. A fish with a dense body in the ocean can't necessarily just go fly. Just like a bird that's flying cannot actually necessarily go into the depth of the ocean. So all these vibrations naturally start to separate spirits out, even though there is no true logical thing. The natural order that I'm at least articulating with English here is this number stuff. 0 being nothing, 1 being the imagination of nothing, 2 being the feelings about that imagination, 3 being communicating those, 4 being building a structure which allows for that communication, so that'd be a body, and then 5 being the 5 cycle reality, the 5 cycling of all these elements, spirit being the prima materia, like it's talking about, and 6 is then an actually balanced and whole creation, where that 5 cycle reality allows opposite and harmonious spirits to come together. So generally masculine and feminine spirits to now come together, have sex together in this 5 cycle reality, which they could not do when they were alone. And really that's all of life, because it's like boom. Because from there, after you do that, you would create your own individual thought, which is a 7, the spiritual realm, that would then ascend your individual perspective, your feeling, your 8, infinity, up into your 9, which is you becoming a fully ascended 1 and having all this control over your body, to where now you can create the extension of your body, which would be heaven. Because we know that, like, we can't just have a body suspended in space. So the point is that we are constantly creating worlds to create worlds to create worlds to create worlds in. And we have, words, simulations, bodies, whatever, but it's all powered through communication. Follow your heart during your lifetime. And yeah, do not cause fear, for fear is a bondage. Fear is just you forgetting that you're a spirit, forgetting that you're desireless, forgetting that you're a truly infinite individual. So fear, you have to believe. To be fearful, you have to believe in some capacity that you are the body that you are using to experience life in. So this is why fear is the lowest vibration, because fear enacts right on like your body, and it really only affects you when you're in a body, and it affects you even more the more you believe that you're the body instead of a spirit that created that body. Because now the spirit that creates the world around you can just infinitely create reasons for why you should be fearful and do whatever it wants. Follow your heart during your lifetime. Do more is commanded, than is commanded of you. When you have gained riches, follow your heart, for riches are of no avail if your heart is weary. So this is more Christianity stuff, which, I mean, the Bible got it from somewhere, clearly. So it's like, a rich man won't enter the kingdom of heaven. And metaphysically, all that means is, like I'm talking about, density. Heaven is you truly just believing in yourself. And if you consider yourself a rich man, what makes you rich generally, specifically in this verbiage, is that you believe in this outside wealth, that you believe that something else is basically, you want to attach your soul to all these things because they make you feel good. And that's not actual heaven, because heaven is you being the good feeling. These things are not going to last. So people will stay in fearful, constantly emotional, turbulent states based on how much they emotionally project their soul, their feelings into the environment. And that's generally what it means to be a rich man. That's like what it takes to accumulate all these physical possessions versus just being your physical possession. So, balance. Do not neglect to follow your heart, for such is abhorrent to your soul. Your heart is truly you. Your heart is the first organ that is created when you're conceived inside of the womb as a human. So you made a heart first. The heart is the original spaceship that then makes the body as a spaceship extension so the heart can actually go around and collect experiences. The heart being the balance between these two brains, right? This whole cerebral brain and then the gut brain. So it's like we got three main brains that are connected by one main brain of our spine. So none of these brains really even work if our spine's not working. So that's pretty wild. It's important to follow your heart because, yeah, that is you. Those who are guided do not go astray, but those who are lost cannot find a straight path. If you go among men, make yourself love, the beginning and end of the heart. Love being the beginning and end of the heart, that's because the heart is the externalization of spirit. In this case, it is the original Merkaba. It is your original spaceship that you're operating from. So love, in other words, is desire, the desire to express oneself. So that's what your heart is, and that's what your heart is constantly doing by pumping. It is expressing itself. It is showing its desire to express itself constantly, just going, always. Once it stops showing this desire, you're out of here. Like your body is done. So it's truly like that's love. It's about self-love. So for whatever reason, you love yourself, love some part of your expression so much that you desired to express it to the point that you felt like, boom, making this. Something from nothing. If one comes to you for counsel, let him speak freely, that the thing he has come to you for may be done. If he hesitates to open his heart to you, it is because you, the judge, do wrong. Do not repeat extravagant speech, and neither listen to it, for it is the utterance of one not in equilibrium. Do not speak abundant words yourself, that he before you may know wisdom. Yeah, okay. I mean, that's like fair. You know, I mean, life is kind of extravagant, so like when we're saying like don't listen to it, like yo, listen to everything. Like that's weird that like you're saying don't listen to things, but don't absorb it. I guess here, well, no, like listen to it, listen to everything. Yeah, actually, yeah, that's kind of weird. I don't really know what's up with that. As in, I do know. Okay. The point of not listening to extravagant speech is that actually wise people, are not going to use all their words and language to build up something instead of actually building that thing. So, like someone, for example, who's like hyping up their plans to you constantly, and they keep talking about how they could do something better, all the things they're going to do, or just like how great they are, but they're not actually putting the energy of hyping themselves up into something practical that actually would show that imagination. That would be like the difference between fire and earth, basically. Or even like air and earth, where like air would want to communicate way more, or fire wants to show its visions, Earth would want to put both those things into something that actually allows the platform for people to experience that in a physical, tangible way. So extravagant speech, yeah, they're just trying to say if it's the utterance of one not in equilibrium, you can sort of tell like that's like manic or whatever, and to really just observe that in yourself. So I'm not like just trying to say neither listen to it, listen to everything. Just take everything with a grain of salt, let it fill up your beach, and then know that whatever you don't like is a reflection of something inside of yourself that you don't like. And it's not up to you to judge or control the outside version of that. It's up to you to judge and control the inside version of that. And then be who you want to be based on this whole mirror fun fest going on in this body of water. Silence is of great profit. An abundance of speech profits nothing. And that's exactly what I said. Right. Do not exalt yourself above the children of men, lest you be brought lower than dust. If you would be great among men, be honored for knowledge and gentleness. Wisdom and gentleness, but whatever. Knowledge is cool. Like, knowledge is you making up your own story. And that would be you shining your own individual light for infinity. And yeah, that's awesome. And then if you're gentle about it, you're not actually forcing it on people. Now you're just shining like a bright star in the cosmos. And it's inviting. You're not trying to colonize or infringe upon other people's space. If you seek to know the nature of a friend, ask not his companion, but pass time alone with him. Debate with him, testing his heart by his words and his bearing. That which goes into the storehouse must come forth, and the things that are yours must be shared with a friend. Knowledge is regarded by the fool as ignorance, and the things that are profitable are hurtful to him. He lives in death, it is therefore his food. The wise man lets his heart overflow, but keeps silent his mouth. O man, listen to the voice of wisdom. Listen to the voice of light. There are mysteries in the cosmos that unveiled fill the world with their light. Facts. Let he who would be free from the bonds of darkness first divine the material from the immaterial, the fire from the earth. What? Know that as fire descends to earth, so that also fire ascends unto fire and becomes one with fire. Let's break this down before we move into part 6 of our episode. Because when it's talking about, okay, being free from the bonds of darkness, low vibrations, low vibration emotions, like your emotions that like you can't control the things you want to ignore, like true ignorance. And see, that's where like there's truth when it's like, okay, darkness is ignorance. And it's like, darkness is emotion, but darkness is things that you want to ignore. But the thing is that your light keeps you in ignorance because your darkness is where the truth is. The things that you want to ignore are going to be way more lessons are than the things that you want to look at. Because whatever you want to look at is something that you want to keep yourself comfortable. And that's why life is a lie. It's a lie that you put in your bed. You lie down in your bed of lies, of lights in life. Because it's all that same frequency. It's all about doing something that's comfortable to your spirit. But if you're running away from yourself, then you're only going to create problems wherever you are seemingly comfortable. And that's the issue with running away from darkness and feeling negatively about darkness at all. First, divine the material from the immaterial. So create something from nothing. The fire from the earth. Know that earth descends to earth, so that also fire ascends unto fire. The fire from the earth. So the imagination from the structure. Like, honestly, like as far as if you're a human, that would just be ascending your light body from your physical body in a conscious way. Cool. So know that as earth descends to earth, so also fire ascends unto fire. Got it. So when you pass on and your earth body dies and joins this earth body, then your conscious body joins another conscious body, which is them pushing this all one stuff, fire joining fire. So they're trying to say, hey, when your body passes on and it comes back with this planet Earth, your fire is going to go back into this fire and become one with fire. And that sounds like hell, but also heaven. And really, it's just imagination, because what is hell or heaven but your imagination? We all have different ideas of hell and heaven. He who knows the fire within himself shall ascend unto the eternal fire. Yes, so they're posing it as heaven. Whereas they could easily say, whereas he who does not know himself shall descend into eternal fire. And it would just be the same message. It's just literally based on like the vibrational frequency of the fire. And if it's desires that you're in control of and express and support your freedom, or if there are desires that suppress your freedom. And desires that suppress your freedom, we categorize as hell. Desires that support your freedom, we categorize as heaven. Fire, the inner fire, is the most potent of all forces, for it overcomes all things and penetrates to all things of the earth. So they're saying like fire, the inner fire, that is the imagination, the externalization, like the desire of spirit, not even the externalization of spirit, because that's air. The desire of spirit, that's fire. That does permeate all things. That's not really the best thing to relate on though at all. Like that's coming from a space of nothingness. And then that nothingness is better expressed by water, because fire, that desire, that imagination can't even do anything on its own until it reflects down into feelings. So it just shows the language here. And yes, we're about to wrap it up here. Hold up. Man supports himself only on that which resists. So earth must resist man, else he would cease to exist. Well, okay. Every objects push against each other, space within space, magnetics, I suppose. I was trying to think of like the term. What is it? Like every action has an equal and opposite reaction. That's what that would be, is what they're saying. So that's just like the only way we would have stability at all is gravity being a two-way street. So we are talking about magnetism in that way. Cool. We'll continue this in part 6. I'm about to hit this, gang.